this is going to be a difficult listen for many of you, right? Once again, particular black women are in the era of defecating on black male civil rights leaders. And they're in this era, let's be very clear, because they cannot be a spoiled brat, whining, upper middle class white woman, or a spoiled brat, whining, rich white woman. They cannot be Karen. They can't be Miss Ann. And they're incensed. And now they've resulted to defecating on black male civil rights leaders, demeaning black men for not essentially building Wakanda for them so they wouldn't have to compete and rub elbows with white women. And of course, this comes with your requisite sass, right? The unwarranted sass, because you know that has to be there. This comes with exaggerated facial expressions. This comes with the neck rolling, right? The cutesy one-liners. Of course. So, who am I speaking about? Real Talk with Yanie. The coward that hides behind just stating her opinions, while what she really is doing is urinating on the graves of civil rights leaders who died for her to be able to speak in the presence of white people and not get her teeth knocked behind her throat. But because she can't be an upper middle class white woman, she has decided to urinate on those people's graves. And she uses an interview that Dr. Umar Johnson has had recently to go at black men in general, Dr. Umar Johnson specifically, and civil rights leaders from yesteryear. So we'll pause right here. We're listening to some of her clips. My apologies for the torture. But it's important that we understand that this is what's passing for entertainment. This is what's passing for commentary. This is what your daughters are listening to, right? People like Yanie have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. On any video, they get 20,000, 30,000, maybe even 200, 300,000 views. And this is what your daughters in high school and college and your adult daughters in their 30s and 40s are watching and listening to. So let's pause right here and we'll speak about this on the back end.
Okay, let me calm down. Okay. So it reads, society has reduced the value of black men to his income. First of all, I just got to say this, okay? That requirement is for all men. Just like we women, we are reduced to our dress size, our weight, and our beauty. So that is the society that you integrated with, right? So that means we're in a patriarchy society, which means now you have to play, now you, black man, you have to play the white man's game. I actually will give you a tip. You should go get Monopoly, the game. If you want to learn how to play the white man's game, okay? You, black leaders, decided that it was a good idea to integrate with them. And so this is the cost for that. You're reduced to your income, just like I'm reduced to my dress size. I'm reduced to my weight. I'm reduced to my beauty. I'm reduced to how I groom myself every day. I'm sorry that you have to put up with this, but you signed up for it. You signed up for it. So let's get into it though. You signed up for it. You shook your hand, so stand on what you did. It is what it is. Don't come crying about it now. Oh my goodness. But let me play this video. And I didn't like what he had to say. Dr. Umar. I didn't like what he had to say because it sounded dusty to me. But let me go ahead and play it. Somebody said I can't.
Is not necessarily an evil. Her bringing home more pay than the black man is not necessarily an evil. It is the interpretation she makes with regard to why she out earns her mate. It's the interpretation she makes to why she out educates her mate. It's not until the black woman swallows the American power structure's narrative as to why the black male is disenfranchised does it become a problem. Because if my wife out earns me and out educates me, that's not an issue if she can still respect my manhood. But because we live in a capitalist empire, your worth as a male is automatically translated into your take home pay. CIA introduced feminism to empower the black female and to disempower the black male. See, the empowerment of our sisters is not an evil. Her being more educated than the black man is not necessarily an evil. Her bringing...
Y'all know what I hear? A bunch of whining. This is my thing. Why are black men so threatened by a woman being educated? I need somebody to answer that for me. Why are they so threatened by a woman feeling empowered? I don't understand. Does that make you feel less? And then you need to look in the mirror and ask yourself why. Why do you feel less that a woman feels empowered? And see, this is why I'm talking about this. Because these men, they will gaslight you. They will attack your self-esteem. They will go around and say, oh, your education, it don't mean nothing for me. It don't do nothing for me. But at the same time, they so threatened by it. I don't understand why men feel so threatened by women that are empowered.
My apologies, everyone, for that torture that you had to endure for a little over 4 minutes. But it gets even worse, and this time this clip will be a bit longer. Listening to this, and we'll come back with our commentary, and actually after that we will actually give our commentary and you won't have to hear her voice again. So we'll pause right here and listen into the rest of this. My apologies, everyone.
But that is why black women are out here getting educated the way they are. It's because they're in survival mode. They watch their mom struggle, or they didn't have the best upbringing, or their parent or family told them that, you know, they need to get educated because you can't depend on these men. So if you can't depend on these men, you're going to go get it for yourself. So until we address the issue in our community that our men are not dependable, stop talking about how education is such a threat to your manhood. And I don't understand why, because these other men are not threatened by an educated woman. They're not really threatened by that. Only black men are actually threatened by an educated woman. Like, your manhood is in jeopardy. That's sad. Okay. Let me pull it back up though.
Introduced feminism to empower the black female and to disempower the black male. See, the empowerment of our sisters is not an evil. Her being more educated than the black man is not necessarily an evil. Her bringing home more pay than the black man is not necessarily an evil. It is the interpretation she makes with regard to why she out earns her mate. It's the interpretation she makes to why she out educates her mate. It's not until the black woman swallows the American power structure's narrative as to why the black male is disenfranchised does it become a problem. Because if my wife out earns me and out educates me, that's not an issue if she can still respect my manhood. But because we live in a capitalist empire, your worth as a male is automatically translated into your take home pay. CIA introduced feminism to empower the black female.
The feminist movement introduced feminism to the black female. You mean our birthright? Y'all, this is too much. This is too much. And then he said the feminist movement, right, introduced black women, black females to the feminist movement, right, to adapt these American power struggles. I'm done. I'm gonna end the live, y'all. Please give the video a thumbs up. Please give the video a thumbs up. Please give the video a thumbs up. I mean, one thing that I have learned about women, it don't matter what race of woman you're dealing with. When we are being taken care of, when we are being provided for, right, protected, we ain't going nowhere. We not listening to our homegirls. We don't give a damn about what they got to say. If Becky came in here and was telling me about some feminist movement, but I got a man at home that's taking care of me, providing and protecting, do you really think I'm going to sit up here and listen to her speech about feminism or the feminist movement? No, I'm not, because I got a man and he's doing what he is supposed to be doing for me. So the only reason black women were listening to white women was because you guys were not showing up the way that we needed. That was the problem. So of course Becky came in and she was telling us, join us tomorrow for the march. So of course we went. Our men were not showing up for us. It's just, it is what it is. Now, until men swallow that, because the L that we took, right? Because black men, black leaders decided that it was a good idea to integrate with white people. That was what you decided. And then you're mad? You didn't think that there would be a culture shift? Come on. You knew there would be a culture shift. You are integrating two groups together, and they're going to create a new culture, and they're going to be influenced off each other. This is why we have pop culture now. So it's just like, come on, they love to blame women, but men, black leaders, y'all made that decision. So you need to deal with it. So now we have to play this game. I call it Monopoly. You should actually get the board game and get more educated on how the game is played. If you play Monopoly, you should know all about it. But you already signed up for it. You decided to sit down with white leaders, and you said that it was a good idea to integrate with them. We could have went and built our own community somewhere. You could have made a deal with them, but you didn't want to do that. And I have a feeling that the reason why you didn't want to do that was because you wanted access to their women. You wanted access to their women. And so you made that decision. And look at what it's cost you. We have no wealth. We have no land. We have nothing. So if you're mad about that, you need to look in the mirror, or you need to look at the men before you and stop sitting up here blaming your women. We followed your lead. We trusted your leadership. This is why we don't trust it now. We trusted your leadership and you failed us. So y'all need to deal with that. Y'all are the leaders of the community, and it is what it is. And we are not in any position to have leverage, dominance, or power. So it is what it is. On that note, I know some of y'all gonna be mad.
Okay, so let's address some things from Yanie real quick. Black men are not threatened by black women being empowered or being educated. Straight lie. Let's also address this. College enrollment in America has recently become 60-40 split women to men. If you go to any random college campus right now, it's way more women than men, and that's for every race. That's not exclusive to black men. The Wall Street Journal has done articles about this. Many people have done videos about this. Men are dropping out of college writ large. This is not exclusive to black men. Why would men in general, black men specifically, want to be in an institution where the women are calling them all type of homophobic, sexist, misogynist pigs? Right? So there's that. Second, and this is going to come off random, but it's not. About 9% of Americans, it's 8.8, but 9% of Americans are millionaires. That's all of their assets. That's not liquid. That's not $1 million in the bank. That is their house, their 401k, their pension, their car, their furniture, everything that they have. If you were to liquidate their life and write them a check for it, you can write them a check for 1.1, 1.5, $2 million. Only 9% of Americans have upwards of $1 million, right? 40% of Americans cannot afford a $400 emergency. 60% of Americans cannot afford a $1,000 emergency. And 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Right? Half of American men, Yanie, half of American men make about $40,000 or less a year. To be in the top third of income earners, if you make about $50,000, you're in the top third of income earners. Yanie doesn't know what she's talking about. That's why she gives that BS disclaimer in the beginning. My opinions. You don't know what you're talking about. And shout out to all you sisters that watch her stuff as a form of entertainment and watch other content creators like Paris Milan as a form of entertainment. Y'all are watching these women who do not care about history, historical context, facts, nothing. Anything that does not overtly disparage black men, they want no parts of it. So let me get this right. How is this supposed to work? You have black women that are subscribed to Yanie, watching Yanie defecate on black men like Dr. Umar Johnson, right? Some of you are swirlers, but I just told you half of American men make 40 or less. So black men are not on your level. We're not educated enough. Women have been outpacing men in college since 1981, if I'm not mistaken. So, when we say black men don't like to see, black men are not attempting to be educated and they are intimidated by educated women, would we not say that about all men? And if we're going to talk about marriage in class, right? According to the American Enterprise Institute, 26% of poor Americans are married, 39% of middle-class Americans, and about 56% of upper middle class and above. That's for all Americans. That's not exclusive to black people. Once again, Yanie doesn't know what she's talking about. And all of you subscribers, all of you that subscribe to her, empower her to not care. Because all you want is to just watch a sassy black woman bring black men down a couple pegs. You want her to develop the talking points so you could go around the internet badgering black men with. People like Yanie, people like Paris Milan, Mahogany Pink, right? Lexus Exodus. Y'all follow those women. Chrissy, right? Y'all follow those women on the internet so they can give you talking points to beat up on black men with. Meanwhile, half of these women don't know what they're talking about. They do not put things into context. They don't care. Because y'all support them. Y'all watch their videos by the tens of thousands, if not a couple 100,000. Get them all that AdSense money from YouTube and Google. For them to sell you what? A BS dream about leveling up? Not dating men, air quotes, not on your financial level? First, let's go through a few things. Black men still start more businesses than black women. Black men still make more money than black women. Black men are still in less debt than black women. So when Yanie is speaking, what is she talking about exactly? What did Dr. Umar Johnson say outside of essentially his own version of the miseducation of a Negro? Black people, namely black women, that go to these institutions, whether they're PWIs or HBCUs, but primarily PWIs, and then they come back into the black community with this perverse worldview about black people, namely black men. Right? And because they have a little bit of money, a little bit of status because of their degree, They look down on black men. They have adopted a white hyper-capitalist worldview, a neoliberal worldview about masculinity and manhood. Right? They essentially want to be upper middle class or rich white women. They want to be a Karen. And because they have difficulty finding a black man to make them a Karen, they denigrate black men, or they denigrate the individual black man they're in relationship with. What was wrong about what Dr. Umar said? Yanie went so far as to defecate on civil rights leaders. What makes her different than B. Simone? Yanie so doesn't know what she's talking about, she doesn't even realize why integration happened. President Eisenhower, who was the general during World War II, President Eisenhower saw what happened to the Jews in Germany. He understood that that was the fate of black people if he didn't make a move. And so integration it was. Yanie so doesn't know what she's talking about. She actually thinks the US government, with racism supreme in the 1950s and 60s, would have ever considered black people doing their thing on the side, like she said. Oh, you could have negotiated. Y'all wanted so bad to be integrated. You could have negotiated to do your own thing in the United States of America, the most powerful nation the world has ever known. Officially spending over $700 billion on its military, probably unofficially over $1 trillion. And you think that country was gonna do what? Let black people take 3 states or something like that and do their own thing on the side? What, live on reservations like the Native Americans? You think the US government was gonna allow black people to do that? Okay, let's go with that. How's the whole Israel thing going right now? How you think that would have worked for black people? Huh? You have white guys walking into stores to kill black people, traveling 200 miles to kill black people, and you think the US government was gonna be able to allow black people to do their own thing on the side? You're so incensed at black men, you're defecating on the same civil rights leaders that allow for you to talk in the presence of white people and not get stomped out for being too sassy. And those are the men that you decided to defecate on. The Martin Luther Kings and the Medgar Evers of the world. Right? The Huey P. Newtons of the world. Right? Those are the people that you decided to defecate on. Real Talk with Yanie doesn't know what she's talking about. There's a lot of black women just like her that don't know what they're talking about, and they don't have to. All they have to do is be witty and sassy, right? And have over-exaggerated facial expressions, and hordes of women will go to them and subscribe to them and sometimes even give them money just to continue to, air quotes, take black men down a peg. Right? Oh, you ate, girl. As long as y'all could and aha. So Yanie know better than Dr. Umar Johnson. She know better than the black male civil rights leaders from decades ago. Right? She know better than the Wall Street Journal. Right? Yanie know better than all of them. She know better than the social scientists that are trying to study and see why more and more young men aren't attending college. Yanie knows better than all of them. If this is what passes for entertainment on the black woman empowerment side of the game, if this is what passes for commentary, just a bunch of drivel that diddles your little ego and your little emotions, this is what passes for it. So let's go through some of the numbers again. The most important number in this conversation: half of American men make about $40,000 or less a year. Yanie, your subscribers can't run from that reality. Period. Your subscribers cannot run from that reality. That's white men, black men, Latino men, yes, even Asian men. Half of American men make about $40,000 a year or less. Men don't start hitting their strides financially until their 50s. Shout out to all you women that are looking for a man that's 27 years old making $75,000 a year. Not saying it doesn't exist, but you'll be hard pressed. Right? Only 8.8%, so 9% of Americans have wealth of $1 million plus. And that's not liquid, once again. That's all of their assets added up. Right? 80% of Americans, it's 78%, so 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 60% of Americans cannot afford a $1,000 emergency. It's interesting, if you put up a funny meme talking about gas prices, these same women will admit that they're dying with gas prices being $5+ a gallon. But then those same women will turn around and Yanie defecating on black men because black men are in air quotes on black women's level. Half of American women earn less than about $27,000 a year. That's American women. That's not exclusive to black women who earn even less than that. So for a race and gender whose median income is closer to about 23-ish or less a year, it's interesting listening to those people defecate on black men for not being on their level. This is not an insult to black women writ large. This is questioning many of you that are subscribed to Yanie, Paris Milan, and the like, who don't have to come with anything other than, you know, black men ain't ish, right? And here's some hand-picked out of context information to prove the point. Shout out to y'all. To believe that Yanie knows better than Dr. Umar Johnson. Huh. All because she's just saying the things you like and you want to hear. Echo chamber. That's what that's called, by the way. So I'll pause right there. I don't have to belabor the point too much. Y'all let Mr. Z know what y'all think in the comments. Mr. Z out.